Good afternoon. I'm Jesse Morgan. Today I will be talking about duckweed, a scientific name, Lemona minor. Some background on common duckweed. It's native to North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, but it can be found on every continent. Usually it's found in freshwater ponds, lakes, streams, rivers. Common names include common duckweed, lesser duckweed, and just regular old duckweed. It is a perennial plant that can produce both asexually and sexually. However, sexual reproduction is rare. Um, the flowers are very rare to be seen. It is the smallest flowering plant in the world. The history of the plant includes use in ancient rituals like body purification, and also it can be used as a human food during times of penance or fasting. This here's the life cycle right here. You can see how one plant will double in size, and it will and can take over an enclosure or a pond. It grows in slow moving water, whether that be a lake, a pond, a stream, or even just a standing puddle. It needs full or semi-full sun to grow. It floats on top of the water. The water needs to be between 6.5 and 8 pH to ensure the best growth. That's fairly neutral. That's what most uh, rivers and streams are at. Duckweed seeds, when there are seeds, which is very rare, begin to germinate in nutrient-rich waters when the temperature of the water reaches about 70 degrees Fahrenheit and up to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It can double in size every 2 to 3 days due to its asexual reproduction. As I said before, it reproduces extremely fast. It does exhibit an age-related decline to ensure its survival. That way, the pesticides or herbicides rather used to control this plant are fairly effective as long as it's not used on a large colony or group of these plants. During the winter, the plants sink to the bottom, and in the spring, when the water temperatures rise again to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, the leaves will start to restarch and they rise back up to the top so they can grow and reproduce. The leaves on common duckweed are oval shaped or inversely egg shaped. The leaves range in length from about an eighth of an inch all the way up to 3/8 of an inch. The leaves are about as twice as wide or 1.5 times as wide as they are long. The leaves are bright green on top and a lighter yellow-green color underneath. There are also little hair-like structures on the bottom of the leaves to facilitate them floating on top of the water. This plant has no stem because the leaf acts as a modified stem structure. The root system picks up nutrients by floating free in the water column, and they can reach up to 6 inches. However, that's pretty rare. They're usually a lot shorter, around 1 to 2 inches. The common duckweed plant uh, is found in every state except for Hawaii. It is also a non-native resident in Australia and South America, where it has been introduced, either for cover or as a decorative plant. Some pros associated with this plant include that it can remove excess nutrients from the water, like nitrogen and potassium. Um, it can be an important food source for aquatic wildlife, and it can reduce algae blooms downstream. When a runoff runs into a river, um, and there's a slough, a bottom, cove in this river, that duckweed can access and use those extra nutrients to help control algae blooms downstream or in the ocean. Some cons associated with duckweed is it can deplete oxygen in the water completely and totally. No oxygen left in the water. Um, the dissolved oxygen levels uh, will be lower when this plant is introduced, especially if it's in a small pond um, or enclosure. It can completely and totally block sunlight from reaching the waterbed, and completely and totally block light coming through the water column. It Due to the fact that it will decrease dissolved oxygen levels in the water, it can kill fish when it overgrows. To combat that, you can use um, herbicides that are safe to use around people, plants, other plants, targeted herbicides, people, pets, animals, aquatic animals, especially. It's hard to do that on a larger scale, though. Excuse me. There are several mechanical methods used to control this plant, including removing it physically with a net or using a reciprocating pump and a hose combination, whether that be a hand crank pump or a electric pump with a generator, and a hose combination, whether it be a water hose or a fire hose, whatever it is. Um, you can use that to push the weed to shore. And as long as it stays on the shore and it doesn't get washed back into the water, it will die. This plant cannot survive without water, or it cannot survive on the shore, on the soil, I should say. Um, Stirring sediment to coat the roots as well as the leaves can be used to combat this weed. Um, plant cannot survive if light can't get to the leaves and the roots. Um, Another method is using oil slick buoys. Um, they Instead of killing the weed, they just combat its growth and its spread. Some biological methods of management, which are highly discouraged, are adding grass carp or other herbivorous fish. Um, Native insects can be used. That is more encouraged, such as June bugs and water beetles and stuff. Um, Aquatic herbicides are also an option, including diquat and fluoridone or potassium permanganate, but those will affect the water. Potassium permanganate will kill all the fish in the water. Um, Herbicides that are sprayed to disrupt duckweed have to be sprayed and distributed at a temperature above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. If it dips below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, the plant will start to sink and the herbicide will have no effect on the plant. These are my references. Many of them come from government studies. So thank you so much.